It's training camp time as training camp opens around the National Football League. And that means we're going to be looking at, yes, undervalued players. Who are 5 undervalued players that you need to target in fantasy football? That's what we're here to talk about. Cecil Lammy, Sigmund Bloom, Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
One of these is not like the others because he actually plays in the NFL. But Jerome Ford, always valuable because of his versatility in terms of being a runner and a receiver out of the backfield. Bloom, he's one of the first players you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and he's actually there at Cleveland training camp, Uh, and undervalued, remember, undervalued implies a gap between the consensus, the hive mind, and what each of us individually ascertain a player's value, evaluate a player's value to be. And as news leaches out, as things are constantly changing in training camp, this can change. But as of right now, I don't know that it is absorbed into the hive mind that as of right now, Jerome Ford is the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns. Quinshawn Judkins had some legal trouble in the offseason, and also most of the second rounders got signed. He's not signed, so he's not there. And at a certain point, you have to wonder with rookies, like Mike Tomlin put it, jumping on a moving train. Well, the train might leave the station. And even though Jerome Ford took a pay cut, this is a team, when you are rotating through 4 quarterbacks in training camp with first team reps, are you really a serious team? So they're not going to go out and make a splashy move. We saw Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins signed earlier in the offseason, 2 of the last credible potential, maybe not truly starting running backs, but running backs you could count on to take a big part of your workload. Now we're going to watch Dylan Sampson. If you want to say, hey, you should be talking about Dylan Sampson, the 4th round pick. Yeah, I'm not going to say
Of
you're
course.
wrong. But for now, Jerome Ford's the guy with experience. Jerome Ford's the guy that can play on all 3 downs. And Jerome Ford's the guy that maybe occasionally broke a big play. Hey, if the offense is dysfunctional, that sounds like a lot of dump offs to the running back, right? That sounds like some cheap points. Jerome Ford's available 12th, 13th, 14th round, a starting running back as of right now. But that sounds pretty good to me, Cease.
Yeah, Windows. It's Windows. So if your Windows like immediately and then later on something else happens, fine. I'm constructing a roster for like the first month and then I'm
Right.
continuing to construct it. Like the draft gets all the hype. It should. It's most fun in fantasy football. That's right. You still have to work after that. So Jerome Ford in that window is there and he doesn't need to come off the field. So you love that about him as well. You love talking about Tucker Kraft.
Yes.
You, in fact, is almost the first name you mentioned when we discussed this topic of like, I want to talk about Tucker Kraft. We all should be talking about Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, we should. It's funny because I had John Daigle, love John, on the couch this week, and the first thing he wanted to talk about was the Packers wide receivers. And I told him when he gave a nice 3-minute exposition about them that the whole time I was staring at his beautiful dome and thinking Tucker Kraft, Tucker Kraft, Tucker Kraft, Tucker Kraft. Why can't Tucker Kraft be the number 1 receiver? All we've heard this offseason is how they recognize that he's an ascendant player and he needs to be a bigger part of their offense. First day of training camp, he's a bigger part of the offense. Remember also that he's a George Kittle type talent when it comes to being able to make things happen after the catch, speed, a rugged player, really tough to bring down. And when you think about Matthew Golden and what he adds stretching the field and Josh Jacobs in the running game, and of course this team has a really good offensive line, it's hard to account for a player like Tucker Kraft. So he doesn't need to get to more than 90, 95, 100 targets to get into the top 5 tight ends. He's starting to come up the board. It's going to be really interesting to see how much he moves up. Because I think there's an argument that he belongs in a tier with TJ Hawkinson, maybe above TJ Hawkinson, depending on what we're hearing out of Minnesota about whether this offense is going to lean more run heavy in JJ McCarthy's first year as the starter. So we could easily be looking back, speaking about that first month, Cease, we could be looking back at the tight end parts of our draft and say it wasn't a big 3 this year at tight end. It was a big 4, and Tucker Kraft is the newest member.
Yeah, he's the big man on campus. And when you don't have a wide receiver 1, but you have a tight end like that, you make it happen. And apologies to our buddy Thor Nystrom, but I have questions about JJ McCarthy.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't have any questions about Jordan Love. He answered those questions. And I think, with Vikings fans and McCarthy fans, and I like McCarthy as well, but I also had a 2nd round grade on McCarthy. Even when the Broncos could have gotten him at 12, I was like, that's still a 2nd round graded player. So,
Yeah, and
hell
see,
yeah, Tucker Kraft.
listen, let's not turn this into a JJ McCarthy show, but let's do it for a second, okay? It's a JJ McCarthy show.
Yes,
Um, even if JJ McCarthy is on target to become everything that they expected him to be, he might not be that right away. He might not be that in basically
right.
his rookie year, okay? So, he is a player that didn't have a ton of reps because that's one of the things we like the Bill Parcells school about starts. It's not even just starts, it's reps, right? Actual mental, physical reps. And he
Mhm.
didn't have that many. And he also, while he did come up big in big moments for Michigan in a national championship season, he went into games not having the offense on his shoulders, which is why I suspect Kevin O'Connell is going to structure the offense. I think the offensive line signings, I think Jordan Mason trade all indicate that they're not going to put too much on JJ McCarthy's shoulders. And he might not be ready for that. I mean, these two things go together. So just because we're saying JJ McCarthy could have growing pains doesn't mean that we hate him.
No, no, not at all. It's football. Most of these guys do have growing pains. So let's put a pin in that. We'll revisit that conversation. Let's revisit our Chuba Hubbard conversations that we have had. And basically, I don't know, why is everyone still overlooking Chuba Hubbard?
Yeah, I don't understand. He was a borderline running back one last year, and a team that had growing pains. They weren't even growing. I mean, it was just swirling down the drain for a little while. And we were talking about Bryce Young. What are they going to do? Back to the drawing board. Now, come week 12 after the bye, Bryce Young showed why he was the number one overall pick, what he could become. And let's not forget that Dave Canales really was underrated as a first year head coach and what he had to face and how he came out of that season with the arrow pointing up. See, someone ask you this with all of your years covering NFL teams. Dave Canales, when they asked him at the open of training camp, like, how's it going? How's it feeling? What's different? And he said, I feel like I've got a lot of leaders here that have my back. What does that tell you about this team going into year two?
That's huge. It's monumental because it's a team that believes in each other and they believe in their coach. So to say that veterans that have their back, not veterans that are just here for a paycheck and not young guys who don't know anything yet, or not veterans who are going to stab you in the back either. So
Right.
that's a very important quote.
Yeah, they have his back, and I think that we need to be talking more about this. And I beat this drum. I'm making my own drum beat. Cease. I run to the beat of my own drum. That when we look back at 2025, we may say the most improved team in the NFL was the Carolina Panthers.
Hmm.
Okay. So we know that Chuba Hubbard is the clear lead back for this team. Rico Dowdle's contract is a backup running back contract, basically. Trevor Etienne is a nice running back, potentially could mix in on passing downs, a utility back, if you will. But this is Chuba Hubbard's backfield. Remember, they gave him a 4-year, $36 million deal during the season last year. This is his backfield. Now, if this team is better, if Bryce Young is better, you add Tedero McMillan and everything that has in terms of implications for the passing game and problems that it presents for defenses. What does that mean for Chuba Hubbard? He's already coming in at a strong running back to potential low running back one level based on last year. If this team improves, if this offense improves, if they have more winning game scripts, now you have a guy that could approach second round value. You get him in the fifth round. What's up with that?
That's craziness. Absolute insanity, but you can take advantage of it in your fantasy leagues. You can take advantage of getting Will Shipley. I had a nice reunion catch up with our buddy Frank Schwab, who is not
Frank
only
Schwab.
awesome at what he does at Yahoo for covering the NFL, but a great, damn fine fantasy football player. Of course, we talked about Will Shipley. Sigmund, it's time for us to talk about him now.
Yeah, it's real fascinating to watch. Getting ready to do my pros versus Joe's draft. Going to be streaming it live, totally transparent. So if the other 11 people in the draft watch it, they're going to get the drop on me. But I don't care because I care about you. I care about our fans. I care about our subscribers. I care about our listeners. I care about our viewers. And you see, interestingly enough, you can look at the other pros versus Joe's drafts, and Saquon Barkley is pretty consistently going after Bijan Robinson, after Jahmyr Gibbs. And I get it, 480 something touches, you know. But where is the corresponding? If we don't think the clear running back one from last year is going to be the running back one this year, where's the corresponding bump for the arbitrage play? It's Will Shipley. Now I know AJ Dillon got the first team carries, okay? And maybe AJ Dillon would get the touchdowns. Maybe AJ Dillon could get carries to grind out a game-winning drive or something like that. But Will Shipley is an all-around running back, obviously one of the better receiving backs last year, but they sound ready for him to play a larger role. He could step into the Kenneth Gainwell role right now. And if the team is cognizant of, hey, Saquon Barkley's coming off of 480 plus touches, then we could see more Will Shipley in an offense that creates production for the running backs. But if fantasy drafters are saying, I don't know about Saquon Barkley early in the first round this year, then why aren't we saying Will Shipley could be a league winner? A league winner available, again, in the 13th, 14th, 15th round of your draft.
Yeah, and by the way, you can be a scoundrel. I think that you're less scoundrelly than I. Frank and I are certainly scoundrels, but
Yeah,
scoundrels in terms of I'm just going to take him because I didn't get Barkley.
sure.
I'm bitter.
Yeah,
And if anything happens, you're going to have to deal with me because I will stash. I want talented players on good teams.
right.
Fantasy football, it's not this mystery equation. What is it from Hangover when Galifianakis has the numbers swirling around him
Right,
at
right,
the
right.
roulette table or whatever?
Woo!
Yeah, it's like, no, that's
No.
fantasy football is I want good players to play on great teams. Will Shipley.
Yeah. Ship, you can't spell championship without Shipley. That didn't work out.
Okay. How about Christian Kirk? Does he work out this year?
This one is a bit of a head scratcher for me because the Texans decided to trade for him knowing that they're going to pay him like almost $15 million. I think about $15 million. Okay. Uh, that's about what Washington's paying Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, who I think Deebo Samuel's going to be fine. We could talk about him as an underrated player, undervalued player. But Christian Kirk's going 4 or 5 rounds after that. And we also know that the Texans' offensive line is a work in progress. Cole Popovich, remember that name, big name in how the Texans end up doing this year in their offense. But doesn't it make sense that Christian Kirk is going to be a frequent target? You have, Jaden Higgins. Yeah, Jaden Higgins, a lot of buzz. Love what the Texans did breaking that second round pattern for, second rounders deserve fully guaranteed contracts and they get paid like $9, $10, $11 million for the whole contract anyway. Christian Kirk's a seasoned professional. The Texans see him twice a year. They know what he can do, and they know that he can be a player that gives CJ Stroud an easy player to target, uncovering early in progressions, and then hopefully maybe some play action and things like that to target Nico Collins down the field. So is it outlandish to think of Christian Kirk as an 80, 90 catch player this year? I mean, as long as he stays healthy, that's probably where he's going to get to. And he's available in the 10th, 11th, 12th round. Why aren't we treating this guy as a key part of the offense that he is going to be for the Texans this year?
Mm-hmm. And for CJ Stroud, good players on great teams. Undervalued players is what you're looking for in fantasy football. You're also looking for a little boost, a little bonus, a little help. That's where footballguys.com comes into play. You can sign up for our free daily newsletter. Man alive, we have Bob Harris, Joe Bryant, Sigmund Bloom, third person Cecil Lammy, Dave Kluge on our newswire. So we're covering that for you, giving it to you every day, hot and fresh to your inbox. You've got a life we don't. And now that training camp's back, we certainly don't. So get that free daily newsletter at footballguys.com. And if you like us, you really, really like us, you can subscribe to footballguys.com. And we certainly appreciate that. No silly super chats, anything like that. You want to tip the show, subscribe to footballguys.com. And we thank you for that. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on all the socials at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammy. The show is at the Audible saying, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please watch these other videos and stay frosty.